Hi, I'm Eddie Matthews from the Stratford and District Chamber of Commerce with this year's winner of the Business Leader of the Year for 2020, and that would be Franklin Famme of Famme Company in Stratford, St. Mary's, and London. Welcome and congratulations, my friend Franklin. Truly a bright spot for 2020 with what we've all gone through. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Eddie. It's truly an honor. I'm very humbled to have received this award, and thanks very much to yourself and the board at the chamber.
First question I have to ask, and this is because this is a rarity, but it's also a great tribute for you and your family. How does it feel to share an award with your father, who was also a recipient back in 1999?
Well, actually, I'm proud to be associated not only with Howard, but with all the past recipients. There's been some fantastic winners over the years, like recently Rob Taylor, Tim McDonald, Jeff Orr, and historically people like David Martin and the late Vic Hayter and the late Keith Culleton, for example. But I'm especially proud to share with my father. He was a very respected businessman, spent many years in the Stratford area building a business. He had a true entrepreneurial spirit and still does, quite honestly. He's still trying to find more clients for the firm. Very much community driven. One of the things that I've tried to emulate over my career is those types of things like entrepreneurial spirit and being very community focused. It's been interesting over the years also because it's shifted away from me being Howard's son to not really being in his shadow anymore. I find it often that people are asking him if Franklin's his son rather than them asking me if I'm his father, or other way around, he's my father, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and we'll even take it a step further, and just two quality people. You know, I always
Thank
get a
you, Eddie.
chuckle when I see your dad, and it's great whenever you and I can get out for lunch or whatever, just to celebrate the day, so to speak. But tell us a bit about your beginnings, and did you always plan on following in the family business?
Actually, believe it or not, when I applied to universities, I applied to be a musician. My first love was music. And I wanted to be a school teacher and a church musician. And actually, the first two universities I applied to were that such. My third university was Wilfrid Laurier for business. And I literally came down to the last day where I decided that I would much rather enjoy music as a hobby than as a career. But once I decided, I focused on honing my skills so that one day I could return to Stratford. But I knew I needed to become a fully qualified chartered accountant without being at Famme Company. I wanted to prove to myself more than anything that I could do what I needed to do and not rest on daddy's coattails, so to speak. So what I did was I articled with a firm called Coopers & Lybrand, which eventually became PricewaterhouseCoopers and is still PricewaterhouseCoopers. I came back to Stratford in December of 1998 and became a partner here at Famme Company in 2001. Partner with Howard actually for 1 year. We were partners together before he retired in 2002. But it's important also that it's not just Famme. It might be Famme & Co, but the & Co is pretty darn big around here. It's a whole team approach. We have well over 100 staff and there's 10 partners at the moment. And it's just great people to work with. So to answer your question on, did I always plan on following the business? Well, not really, but once I made that commitment, it was pretty clear that I was coming back to Stratford.
Yeah. And you know what? We should tell folks about that other love of yours with music, because you're still involved in music to a degree.
Absolutely. I've always loved the arts. I've actually stopped playing now, but I used to be the organist at Zion here in Stratford. But I'm very much involved in the arts organizations. I was once on the board of Stratford Summer Music. I'm presently on the board of the Stratford Festival, and very much in love with the arts organizations and the culture here in Stratford. But of course, it's not just culture in this area. We're very lucky to have culture and agriculture and manufacturing and mostly small business, which is why it's great having an organization like the Chamber of Commerce to represent us.
Mm-hmm. No, and you know what? And we should talk about where you're located too, not only here in Stratford, but St. Mary's in London. But why do you think Famme & Co continues to be a successful business?
Why is Famme Company successful? Well, I think it ultimately comes down to the people. We have the most amazing staff. They are very loyal, dedicated, hardworking. We provide a high level of service with attention to detail in our business. Not only that, but we encourage our people to be community focused. I think it's very important to get involved in the community, whether it's going to a chamber business after 5 or the mayor's gala for the community foundation or whatever it happens to be. Being community focused is very important to our firm. You'll see our name around the community sponsoring various events. Mostly youth and community driven is what we do for our sponsorship dollars. But we care about our clients and the community because it's this community that we live in, and we can only be successful if we invest in the community.
You've got good people that work for you, and everybody knows it's a pretty tight-knit community. What would your staff say about you, especially now being the recipient of this award?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question. I'm not sure what they'd say about me, Eddie, but hopefully some of the words might be hardworking, caring, open, honest, loyal, those types of things. But I also hope that they would be proud, because this award is not just about me. Being a business leader means that you are successful because of the people that surround you. And without a doubt, the main reason why I'm receiving this award is because of the amazing staff and partners and friends that I get to work with every day. And Famme Company is just a great place for that. So hopefully they'd have kind words, but they may have some that aren't as kind, Eddie, too. You never know.
I would imagine. Is that what drives you, being that sense of community? And you and I have talked about this. It's nice to be able to just walk down the streets of Stratford and know pretty much everybody that you see and just wish them a good morning, a great afternoon. But what drives you anyways?
I think you had two things nail on the head there. Community involvement is a big driver for me. Knowing that I make a difference in some way, shape, or form. I've sat on many, many boards over the years and tried to put my thumb into the operations to try to see if I can help direct them as best as possible. But also getting to know people and being known in the community. It's great, as you say, walking down the street and calling people by name. And if you don't know who they are, it's good to find out who they are and how they're connected to this organization, to the city rather, that we call Stratford. Client and personal success is also very important to me. That drives me. When businesses succeed, I feel a shared pride in that business. And on the other side, when businesses fail, I take some responsibility for that as well. But I think that's really important, is that it drives me to find that success. But, I mentioned that people were the important factor, and I think it needs to be said, actually. Training the next generation of leaders is very important, because before you become a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But after you become a leader, success is really about growing others. And I think that that's incumbent upon anybody who's a business leader to take that time and train the next generation, show them how important it is to be involved in the community, and more importantly, why it's important to be involved in the community. Because of course, we want a great place to live.
Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, we all have had our own life lessons. If you could pick one life lesson that you learned along the way, what would that be?
Well, it seems to be a recurring theme through our conversation here, but in my mind, being a leader is entirely about connecting with people. It's not about the business models or the client strategies or even about the type of business you're in, because any business can have a leader as far as I'm concerned. Rather, it's about inspiring and motivating people to get the work done that needs to get done. So being a leader is entirely about connecting with people. I do a lot of consulting with businesses, and the number one issue with any of the businesses I work with is human resources in some form or another, whether that be hiring, retaining, firing, benefits, pay increases, those types of issues for people, because it all comes back to connecting with people. And I think that that's a model that's worked well for me over the years, and that's definitely a lesson that I've learned along the way.
Yeah. What does Stratford, an area, mean to you? What, with that in mind, what stamp do you hope to leave on this community?
Well, Stratford is a strong community because of the people who live and work in that community and who love our community. But I think it's important for those who aren't Stratford centric, and I know that realize this is the surrounding area as well, but the people that aren't Stratford centric, in order to understand Stratford, you have to be Stratford. You have to live in Stratford. You have to have the experiences, because it's not just the great shops or the great dining or the wonderful small businesses that are owner managed in our area. It's the whole Stratford story. We've got a vibrant downtown, amazing cultural and cuisine experiences, great schools, not only at the public school level, but at the post-secondary level, small businesses, manufacturing, professional services, charitable organizations. That's Stratford. We've also got, to our credit, low unemployment. We are the envy of many other cities the same size as us. I think that has a lot to do with the strong city council and strong direction of Mayor Matheson. We definitely punch above our weight category because we are, like I said, envious. The envies of other areas. What do I hope to leave? Sorry, I was just going to finish your second question. I don't think that my stamp should be physical things on the community, but rather the things that I've accomplished, both within my business and through the organizations that I've been associated with over the years. I mentioned the YMCA, or the festival, and summer music. I've enjoyed my stint with the Community Foundation, with the United Way. There's so many wonderful organizations. So I think I'd like to be known as someone who puts effort into making Stratford a strong community, someone who cares about others and their successes, and I'm someone who's willing to lend a helping hand.
This is a really personal question and serious with what we've been going through over the past 5 or 6 months. What was it like, though, when you had to close the business down due to COVID? And how did you adapt to the new way of doing things?
It's a tough question because everybody's had to deal with COVID in one way or another over the last little while. We were deemed an essential service, so we continued to work. We had plans in place. Actually, we planned for a close before it even happened. We wanted to do the worst case scenario. We always implemented policies which were above and beyond what was required, because we took the out of an abundance of caution type approach. But the event that you're talking about actually happened late in May. It was a Thursday morning. I'll never forget. One of my partners received a phone call that his parent who he had been in close contact with, tested positive for COVID. We actually immediately closed the office without even calling the health unit because we wanted to, out of an abundance of caution, take that approach. We then called the health unit, and I have to say that they were absolutely fantastic. They gave us great advice, all the assistance that we asked for and more. We did all the special cleanings, and we got back in the office. Ultimately, we were lucky, Eddie. At the end of the day, we were really lucky, because everyone should be planning for what to do when it happens, not if, because I think it will happen to most. If you think it can't happen to your business, you'll never be ready. You have to plan for it to happen. Honestly, COVID has been the hardest year of my career, with the new subsidy programs happening every day, every other day. Clients in trouble. I've had many, many phone calls with people in tears and video conferences because they have to lay people off, or they have to fire people, or they have to close the doors forever. I think we've seen the tip of the iceberg on the trouble for businesses right at the moment. And I'm sorry to say that this winter is going to be a real struggle. And I'm really hopeful that we can do what we can to help our local businesses to thrive over the next little while. But I do have some concern over the fatigue surrounding the physical distancing that we have going on. If you take a look at social media, it seems to be less of a thing than it was before. So we have to be very careful not to let our guard down. But at Famme Company, we did have it. We got very lucky that it ended up being essentially a non-issue for us. But I think if I've learned anything from it, is that I was worried that there would be stigma associated to our organization having to be closed for COVID. But I have to tell you, I was very proud that we closed for COVID. We intentionally closed because of a COVID situation. I would have had less pride if we would have done nothing, and then there would have been a major problem. So for the other organizations that have had it or will have it, stand tall, stand proud. We're in this together, and we'll do what we can to help you.
Yeah, and we'll give a tip of the hat to those, because this has to
Absolutely.
make you proud as well, as to see how many people have stepped forward and seen Stratford adapt this summer to what's been happening. You know, like you say, it could be a different story once we get into November, December, and January. But what is your feeling about Stratford as we move forward from COVID over the next few years?
Well, and I actually like the way you said that, from the next few years. It's not a 6 month solution. It's longer than that. Stratford's resilient though. It's been amazing to see the creative ideas from businesses to get their products or service back in front of the people within the community after being shut down, like curbside deliveries or owners rolling up their sleeves. It's great getting food takeout and seeing the owner of the business deliver the bag to your car. That's what Stratford is. We're resilient. The leadership's being shown through various organizations as well. We mentioned some of the charitable organizations like the Rotary Club Mass Project, Dr. Doug Thompson, the Economic Recovery Task Force through Invest Stratford that Joni Gerber's handling. Zach Gribble's doing an amazing job at Stratford Tourism Alliance. It's always terrible to name names because you're going to forget people. We've seen the Community Foundation step up through Heidi Culleton. United Way, Ryan Erb's done a fantastic job, and the list goes on and on and on. But there are many simple things that, from my perspective, people can do, and they don't all involve spending money. Like without spending any cash, we can encourage others, recognize that people are trying their best, say thank you more often. We've had some fantastic people volunteering. Look at John Kastner and what he's done in the alfresco arrangement for volunteering. Many people are going above and beyond what they reasonably consider to be necessary. Just a simple hello on the street. Be sympathetic. Some people will get things wrong through this, and we'll get things wrong too at my business. And there should not be shame in that. Rather, people need to learn from their mistakes. And the only shame, really lies with those people who choose to sit back and criticize, in my opinion, instead of lending a helping hand. We need to help others. And if you are able, with your cash, donate to local charities who are in need of help. Stop buying from the online community outside of this area. Rather buy local. There's many local companies that have online available for those who don't feel comfortable shopping in person. And even go so far as to throw away any gift cards that you have. The business, or at least put them away in the closet for another year or so. The businesses right now need our cash because they are hurting. But unfortunately, like you say, we must be realistic. It's not over the next 6 months. It's over the next couple of years. There will be casualties. I've witnessed a handful of companies having to make some difficult decisions. Winter is coming. And don't forget about the mental and emotional and spiritual draining aspect of this. I'm completely exhausted. It's been the longest tax season I've ever experienced, and it seems to still be going on. So there is no simple pill for economic recovery. We can't do something and get an immediate results. It's the little things. We need supports from all level of government. We can't wait for a handout, so we have to really do a grassroots initiative and tell the Stratford story. So I'm definitely going to keep promoting Stratford as long as I can.
Well, I couldn't think of a nicer guy. I'm happy to call you a friend, and congratulations again from the Stratford and District Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, congratulations to Franklin Famme, the 2020 Business Leader, and I'm Eddie Matthews. Thank you so much for watching.